Hey y'all, Amy here with Leap of Faith Crafting. Thanks so much for stopping by. So today I am going to be showing you how I made this cool wood sign that is 6 layers deep. And this is a Lake Tahoe sign. It has the Nevada and the California side that I made for a friend. So I just thought I would shoot a quick tutorial on how to do this. I did get this file, I'll link it below, off Etsy, but there are some stuff you have to do when you bring it into the software. I'm using my WeCreat Vision laser machine for this, and it worked beautifully. I did make this outside frame. Yeah, I won't be showing you how to build that. That's just kind of an extra thing that I did for this, but I just sawed and glued them together. Okay, so I am using just a pack of wood I got off Amazon, and then just some different acrylic paints to paint the blue inside, and then my laser machine, and then some wood glue to glue the layers together. So anyway, let's hop into WeCreat and start creating. So first we're going to go into the WeCreat software and upload this SVG file. So I have linked it down below of the SVG for Lake Tahoe. Got it off Etsy, and they have a bunch of other lakes and things like that, so you can browse around if you want a different lake. So it actually comes in as a folder that I extracted. So I'm going to use these ones that have both the cut and the engrave on them. So you can see it is 9 different layers. I'm not going to do all 9 layers, but we're going to upload them, and I'm going to show you what you need to change within the software if you're using WeCreat. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to a new project. So a few different options on this. Since there's so many layers, I'm actually going to do them on different canvases, but you can bring them all in at once. There's just so many of them. So I'm going to go ahead and just upload them one at a time. And you can see also in the file that there's actually, you can actually separate the engrave and the cut one if you want. I'm going to, so we're going to upload Lake Tahoe 2, and you can see that this is a top layer with all of the words and the roads and things like that we are going to be engraving. So there's quite a few things that you need to do on this one. But actually what I'm going to do is we're going to go to the path. I'm going to go down to the red. I'm going to click on all the red ones, and I'm going to hit fill engrave on them. So they fill engrave that. And then I'm going to make these ones, since they're the roads, a little bit lighter. So you can pull this up and decide what you want to do. I'm going to make these ones a little bit lighter than the wording. So I'm going to click on this one. And then I'm actually going to merge these all together so they're one image. Okay. So you'll see now they're all one path. Okay, so once I have the red ones all done, I'm going to do the same thing with the black. I'm going to click on the black layer. I'm going to change this to fill engrave. So when they fill engrave, instead of doing the outlines of everything, it's going to etch all the inside. So I want all of those, you can see, turning into the fill engrave. And then I'm actually going to merge these, the graphic shapes, again until it's one path. Okay, and so I have fill engrave, and then I'm actually going to make this fill engrave a little darker. We will select that. Okay, and then this outside path is actually the outside that's going to cut. So I'm going to change this one to a cut, because that's just the rectangle around the whole thing. You can see if I pull them apart that this is the part that it's going to cut around, and then it's going to cut this. Actually want all those back together. So now that this is ready I'm actually going to drag my cursor over both of them, and I'm going to group these together. And then I'm actually going to rotate this. Yeah, it can be 90 degrees. And then my project, maybe I'll make it an even 15. So on the other ones, okay. So this is going to be my first layer here. Okay, so now that I have that one, I'm going to bring in the other ones. So actually this one I'm going to rename it. I'm just going to put top layer. I'm going to hit confirm. Okay, I'm going to click down here on that left side and hit canvas 2. And we're going to upload, and then we're going to do Lake Tahoe 3 and open that one. Okay, so you'll see on these there's way less to do. I don't actually want the numbers on them, so I'm going to delete that off. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on this and delete the numbers off. Okay, so the one thing with this top layer, there's actually a rectangle around the top, and I don't want that. So I'm going to come over here and click on this rectangle that is within the black layer, and I'm going to delete that off. Okay, because if you select it and fill engrave, it fills everything in. So now with this black one, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I set this to fill engrave. Select that one there, and then I'm going to go ahead and merge these graphics together so it goes to one path. I'm going to click on this blue one, change this to cut, so I know that is a cut. I'm going to drag my cursor over both and group this together. Just right click and group. I'm going to flip it 90 degrees and make it 15 inches tall. So we are going to do that with all of the other layers. I'm going to click on another canvas. I'm going to hit upload, and then we're going to upload the 4. And actually, before I do that, let me layer this. Layer 1. Okay, we're going to upload the next one. So they don't correspond to these numbers, but that's what it is. So I'm going to do the same thing with all of these layers. So I'm going to go down and click on that rectangle that's there, delete it. I am going to click on the numbers just because I don't want them, but you can definitely keep them. Then I'm going to click on the right side on this path so it selects all of, well, actually is it selecting it? All of the black. I'm going to hit fill engrave. I'm going to hit my power and speed. I'm going to merge these graphics just so they're one path. I'm going to go down to this path and change this to cut. I'm going to group these together, rotate it by 90 degrees, and change the height to 15. Okay, and then I'm going to click on this to change to layer 2. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to do that with every single one, and then we will go to the machine and start cutting these out.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, this is the pack that I'm using. I am going to only be using 6 layers of it, so you can make 2 out of 1 pack. I'm just going to paint the blue layers. So I just grabbed some blue paint that I have, and then I have white and also black. So I'm just gonna mix and do light blue and then just gradually get darker for the bottom layers. And if it gets a little bit too dark, add a little bit of white. And I actually don't need to paint the whole board because it's only gonna be the middle part of it. And I'm only doing 15 inches anyway. Okay, so that will be my bottom board. Then I'm just gonna go a little bit lighter than the blue for my next board. And I'm painting first so I can do the engraving over it. So it will engrave through the paint instead of painting on top of the engraving. But if you're not doing any of the engraving, like my Lake Tahoe has the state line through it, so that's what's actually engraving. If you don't have that, you don't need to paint first. You can paint afterwards. Okay, so there will be my lightest one. That will be my top. And again, the middle is going to be cut around, so I won't see a lot of the blue. So I'm not too worried if it's uniform across. Okay, but I'm going to let those dry, and then we're going to start doing our cuts. Okay, so now that we're ready to cut, you can see I'm going to do my last one first. You'll see that on the material, I have the 3mm wood basswood. I'm just going to go ahead and refresh this so you can see now it has the inside. I'm just going to go ahead and put my bottom piece of wood right inside. Okay, and then I'm just going to hit this refresh button so that it brings up the board that's in there. And I'm just going to move that up a little bit. The next one that's going to cut out is pretty low on here. So I'm just going to put it about there. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on the autofocus so it actually focuses to the material. Okay, and once it's all set, I'm going to go ahead and hit start on here. It says it'll be about 3 minutes. We're going to hit send on here. And then we're coming over to my machine and hitting that button there. Okay, it said my processing was complete. You're going to take that first one out. I know it's hard to see because it's dark. I'm going to try to clean some of that off to make it lighter. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put my next board in here. Okay, and close the lid. I'm back on my computer. I'm going to hit that layer 6. That was my next one. We're going to go ahead and hit refresh so it uses that camera. Make sure this is centered okay. Go ahead and just move it up a little bit. And then just keep repeating the process of hitting the send and having my laser machine do its work. So it's going to start going together like this. Okay, so we're just going to keep going. So these lines match up on each of those. So I decided to delete out a few layers. So you can see I saved the top layer, layer 2, 3, 4, 6, and 9. So I didn't want to do all 9 layers. So now I'm down to 6, totally optional. Okay, I'm going to go now to layer 4. I'm going to hit that refresh so the camera picks it up. So I'm going to bring it up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to hit the autofocus. And again, the start and send. Okay, so my last layer is my top layer, and I'm just doing just a natural wood in here, because with the engraving, most likely I'm probably going to do a light sanding over it, so I didn't want to have any paint on it, but you could still paint or stain or something if you want. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. Okay, so back at my computer, I'm going to hit that top one and hit refresh. And so I know this one is going to take a long time for all the engraving. So I'm just going to leave that nice and centered. So this one, the only thing it's cutting is that outside, and everything else is going to be a fill engrave. Okay, hit that autofocus. So this is kind of how it's looking already. We have all these sheets that I need to put together. Okay, we're going to go ahead and hit start. Ooh, yeah, 3 hours. So this has lots of tiny of the fill engrave, which is what's going to make it a long time. So we're going to go ahead and send this and push our button. And because of also how dark I wanted it, it has to do lots of passes over it. So you gotta make sure you're home and have time to at least do the top layer for a good amount of time here. Okay, so we'll come back to it in a little over 3 hours. Okay, towards the end of this, it is cutting out now the lake. Been quite a few hours. Almost done. Okay, everything just finished. So there is that top layer. So you can see we got some on the darker stuff. Definitely got some shadowing, so I am going to just run my sanding machine over it. Those lighter ones, definitely came out way better. So if I were to do it again, I would probably do the darker ones in that lighter power of thing, so it doesn't make too much of those shadow. But it looks great. So I'm just gonna again use my orbital sander and do a thin layer of sanding over this, and then we will put it together. Okay, so here is all of the layers put together. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and glue them together and then put clamps on them and let them dry. So this is the actual, I have Gorilla Glue. This is just what I have on hand. I think my wood glue dried up. So I'm gonna start with this. So this one I actually have to get things a little wet and then put the glue on. So since it's so many layers, we are gonna have to go kind of quickly. And then for the frame, I just took some 1x2s and cut it to fit the edge of my 9x15, and I'm just gonna sand it and glue it together and attach the mat to it. Okay, so I finished putting this together. Like I said, I built a frame, but you definitely leave it as it is or try to find a frame if you want to put it in. So I just used 2x3s and made a frame and just cut the angles at 45 degrees and put them together, and everything that wanted to go wrong did go wrong. My wood filler was old, but I used it and it didn't stain. And then it's not level, but it stands up at least straight. And then on the back side, I just actually used little hinges to put it together there. And my nail gun didn't want to work. I had to repair that, but all in all, it came out very pretty. The one thing I would say is my glue got too close to the edge, and when I clamped it shut, some of it leaked. So I was able to scratch some of it off, and then I just painted over it. So it has a little bit of texture, but definitely just be aware to not get your glue overly close to your edges. But anyway, look how beautiful that is. So yeah, I see these sold on Etsy in different places for, you know, $80 to $300 depending on size and everything like that. And I can see why, because this took about a good weekend to make the frame, and everything, just the top part, as I said, took 3 hours. And then all the other layers were about 5. So those weren't bad, but so you do need some time. The frame took me a long time, but obviously you don't have to build a frame if you don't want to. But anyway, and it stands on its edge, or someone can hang it on the wall. But I love how it came out. It is beautiful. So I will put, again, all the links to the file below and materials I used below if you want to check those out. And hope that gets you started making some of these cool 3D layer map signs. Okay, thanks so much for stopping by. Make sure you hit that subscribe button below, and happy crafting, everyone.